a key to unlock family history and possibly improve one's own health.
My DNA journey started here with 23andMe.
But now 23andMe, the company that has collected genetic samples from millions of customers, is filing for bankruptcy.
I'm the California Attorney General. I'm also a consumer. It's a decision that's best for me to delete today.
Attorney General Rob Bonta says he's deleting his 23andMe account, and others should consider doing the same thing. What is your biggest concern about this bankruptcy?
That the private, sensitive data and information of 14 million consumers who have used 23andMe could get into the wrong hands.
In a statement, 23andMe says it will continue operating its business in the ordinary course during bankruptcy proceedings, adding there are no changes to the way the company stores, manages, or protects customer data. But in 2023, a cyber breach exposed the data of nearly 7 million customers. 23andMe settled a lawsuit for $30 million. Last fall, the company announced it was letting go of hundreds of employees and closing its therapeutics division because profits were dropping. Still, co-founder Ann Wojcicki sounded upbeat about 23andMe's future at the time.
Is the company still viable, in your opinion?
100%.
Is it?
Yes, I definitely I believe in the company. I believe in the long-term mission, but I believe it's essential for us to restructure.
Posting today that her belief in the company and its future is unwavering. Wojcicki says she is stepping down as CEO so she can possibly buy the company back herself if the court allows it to be auctioned off. And whoever buys it will have to follow the original privacy statements, according to 23andMe.
But that doesn't mean those privacy statements can't change in the future.
Glenn Cohen is a Harvard law professor. What is your message to customers today about 23andMe?
Pay careful, close attention to what happens next. Be careful about clicking through anything that looks like a change in the privacy statement.
So, Stephanie, what does this mean? If you want to delete your account with the end goal of deleting the DNA, how do you go about it?
So you go into your profile, into settings. There's a section there called 23andMe data. You have an option listed to download your data or permanently delete it.
All right, Stephanie.
This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. Government Operation 23andMe is filing for bankruptcy, as you heard. And of course, this is nothing more than a government operation that is shutting down. And clearly they're shutting down because they got enough of everybody's genetic data that they don't really need to front themselves as a company anymore, because people willingly submitted their own DNA to the government so they could store it in the FBI database. Now, some of you may have noticed in that clip, the CEO of 23andMe, who recently resigned, Ann Wojcicki. And you might say, yeah, that name sounds a little bit familiar. That's, of course, because Ann Wojcicki is the sister of Susan Wojcicki, who was once the proud CEO of YouTube, who took YouTube and took free speech and ran it into the ground. But Susan's no longer around to censor free speech. She's currently residing in the pits of hell where Susan Wojcicki belongs. Too soon? I apologize. Me and Susan, we don't see eye to eye, especially when you lose millions of subscribers because somebody doesn't like the fact that you're exposing these government operations like 23andMe, which is exactly part of the reason that many of my channels have been shut down. So Ann Wojcicki, the sister of Susan Wojcicki, has been fronting as the CEO of 23andMe, but this is nothing more than a government operation. And all of that data, all of it was nothing more than a genetic psyop to gain everybody's DNA and store it so that eventually they can use your DNA for lots of things like digital twins. For anybody out there that's not familiar, I'll do deeper dives into the digital twin or super smart clones built from your medical DNA. And of course, we know that they're monitoring us online, getting a profile on all of us. They're monitoring you with your smart devices, your smartwatch, your smartphone. They're literally building out these digital avatars, which they plan on using with D-Wave quantum computers so they could store your digital twin forever. But let's take a look at this story and then we'll discuss how we've gotten to this point. The genetic testing company 23andMe, which allows users to spit in a tube and send away the sample for a detailed DNA analysis, is filing for bankruptcy. 23andMe has faced financial hardship for years, struggling to overcome the fact that many people who went to the website for a one-time DNA test didn't become repeat customers. In November, the company laid off more than 200 employees. The bankruptcy announcement also comes less than 2 years after 23andMe conveniently suffered a massive data breach affecting 6.9 million customer accounts. And it's hilarious how they word that by saying that people didn't really, we should call them repeat offenders, but repeat customers. Well, because once you submit your DNA, there's no need to become a repeat customer, because once they have your DNA, that's all that they really want. And they thank you for your stupidity in giving it to them willingly. And this, of course, is going to be one of those things now where they come out, like you heard in that news clip, and they say, hey, you know, if you could go online, you could go into the database, and you could delete your DNA, right? As if those DNA samples haven't already been stored at government headquarters and stored in these D-Wave quantum computers where they plan on storing people's DNA. Of course, they'll pretend you could just go online and delete it because they want you to think that that's how easy it is, right? That nobody really wants your DNA. They just made that whole company, they ran that whole thing so you could find out if you were related to a celebrity or not, right? Because this entire psychological operation started with shows like Finding Your Roots. Remember some of these shows I've exposed over the years? Julia Roberts recently discovered she's related to Ed Norton. Who cares? Actor Ed Norton discovers real-life Pocahontas is his 12th great-grandmother. Who gives a crap? Well, apparently the sheeple do, and the sheeple got sucked into the Psyop because they saw all of their favorite government agents pretending to be actors, putting on some of their best performances during being on the show, crying when they find out that they're related to some of the witches from the witch trials, right? Remember that video I did on Jeff Daniels? Or Julia Roberts, or all these celebrities that go on there and cry and can't believe who they're actually related to. My seventh cousin from another mother was actually a slave owner. Well, if you think these people didn't know or don't know who their relatives are, think again, because all these celebrities are actually related to one another, just like all these politicians are related to these celebrities and so on and so forth, which is why you always hear stories about Queen Elizabeth being related to Queen Beyonce, right? Or Madonna and Johnny Depp being related to the Queen as well. It's because it's all truth in plain sight. But if anybody out there doesn't know, this is how they suck people into this psyop, into willingly giving their DNA to Big Brother.
Fasten your seatbelt.
My heart is racing right now.
Oh, look at now.
We're not gonna have no Danny Trejo, you are the father.
What do you have, spies working for you? How did you find this?
You're uncovering the truth. I love this.
It's wild. These are consequential things.
Okay, mind blown.
I feel like a time traveler. This is something out of some science fiction novel.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, that's so good. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this.
Wow. That's very moving, actually. It's like the most vital stuff, right?
I'm sorry, but this is it's really something. Really is something. I mean, I wish my ma could be here to see this.
They didn't need Lincoln to free them. They got free on their own.
They did indeed.
They had a hard time even getting my head there.
I just want to bow down to every nick and scrape and trauma and whip and chain and say, just, you have no idea how much I love you.
On this side of your tree, I'm an inbred kind of... inbred. I'm inbred.
You can't make that stuff up.
Right.
That's funny, but it's life.
No, my ancestors did not come here on the Mayflower.
Your ancestors came on the Mayflower.
That's a little bit too much.
And you have a DNA cousin.
Oh my God!
That's Bill Hader. You know him?
Of course.
He's my DNA cousin.
He is your DNA cousin.
We work together.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good one. Wow.
Oh, look at everybody.
What a treasure.
Skip, what a treasure.
You know, you die twice. You die when your body dies, and then you die the last time somebody says your name.
That's right.
And so I'm gonna make sure that I keep them alive.
I've got history. You know what I mean? That's what it is. I've got history.
I feel the presence of, of all these people.
Yeah.
In a good way.
This has been freaking amazing.
It is something about knowing. Even with the hard parts, there's an add value to the knowing. Okay, I don't want my fake eyelashes to fall off.
Right, so the sheeple sat at home, they saw a show like this, they thought to themselves, I wonder who I'm related to. Could I potentially be related to Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn? Let's run and get this DNA kit and send it blindfoldly to a company that I don't know anything about because it's not even a real company, it's a front for the government, and nothing bad could happen. Of course, those same people who did that are the same people who now hear that this is actually happening where it's going bankrupt, and they're saying, well, what is happening to my DNA? And they're going, oh, just go online and delete it, right? And then those are the same people that'll look at you and say, well, what do I care if the government has my DNA, right? What do I care if the government is listening to me? What do I care, right? That's the society we live in now, where all these people continue to give up their rights and their privacy to the government. And then when you bring things up to them, they go, well, I don't care if the government's listening to me. What am I doing that's wrong, right? Well, they're only creating a profile on you. They're only creating a potential digital twin of the future on you. I mean, yeah, sure, willfully blind, right? And of course, you might remember some of the other psyops that were out there that got parents to willingly get their kids' DNA. Because remember, when it comes to these ancestry shows, right, children aren't going to submit their DNA, but suckers who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and upward will submit their DNA. But the kids didn't, and they need the kids' DNA as well. So you remember some of the events that happened at schools over the past couple of years? Remember those DNA kits they were sending parents, telling parents that they could identify their kids' bodies in an emergency? Oh, really? Really? That's what we're falling for now? The government telling you that you need to submit your kid's DNA in case there's an event at a school so that you could identify if it's your kid or not who may have been in the line of the psyop or the false flag? Yeah, remember some of this propaganda?
It's for parents to use to save a sample of their kids' DNA. Some parents have raised concerns that this would be in response to what happened in Uvalde. But as KMAC's Ryan Chandler tells us tonight, the law behind this effort actually dates to before that shooting.
Well, that's right. As some districts begin to offer these kits to parents, it strikes a nerve, as we remember that some of the victims in Robb Elementary had to be identified using DNA. But this initiative is not meant to prepare for the aftermath of a school shooting. And it's nothing new, actually. These kits come from a Texas law passed in 2021, which provided DNA kits to every public school district in collaboration with the National Child Identification Program. That program provides kits so that parents can have a DNA sample in case their child ever goes missing. The law was simply meant to codify efforts to distribute those kits, which actually date back to 2006.
DNA and fingerprint kits will soon be in the hands of parents with students in public schools. Last year, state legislatures funded and passed a bill requiring the Texas Education Agency to give districts the take-home kits. Elementary through middle school campuses will receive the kits, and distribution for some Texas districts is already underway. KENS 5, Sarah Duran joins us live in studio to explain the purpose behind these kits. But first, Sarah, have any districts in our area received them?
Audrey, we reached out to the city's two largest school districts, Northside and Northeast ISDs. Northside ISD told us they were not aware and have not received any such kits. However, Northeast ISD says the district has received the kits, which will include inkless fingerprint and DNA ID cards. Now, Northeast ISD is not far behind the state's largest school district, Houston ISD. According to the Houston Chronicle, the district has also received the kits and will begin distribution this this week for parents who want one. They are intended for legal guardians to keep, and in the event a child goes missing or is trafficked, the kit's contents may be given to police. The kits, which are optional, have received mixed reviews. Some have found the program chilling due to the recent elementary school shooting in Uvalde. You may remember parents were asked to provide DNA samples to identify the child victims. Some who work in education locally found the timing of the rollout bad.
They're still feeling the stress of this. I truly believe that many teachers and school employees have PTSD from this. I have no doubt that some students feel it also.
However, missing persons advocates say it could help when the unexpected happens. Still, the investigative nonprofit Project Absentis knows it will be met with reluctancy.
At least they have the available tools for law enforcement so that they can conduct their investigations. But I certainly understand the hesitation of some parents.
This morning, the TBI, Metro Police, and United States Senator Marsha Blackburn are working together to combat what they're calling the missing children crisis. Peyton Kennedy is live at Nissan Stadium now, where their conference just happened.
Yeah, and they also work together with a law enforcement organization called Noble, as well as the NFL alumni base that is here locally. They're talking about these National Child ID Program kits. They will be distributing about 85,000 of these throughout the state of Tennessee. And essentially what it is a chance for parents to gather their child's DNA and fingerprints so they have it on record in case of an unfortunate missing person situation. They talked about the prominence of this, the statistics, about 350,000 kids each year go missing. That's about 1,000 kids per day. Some of the NFL alumni who spoke today noted that this kit is just an extra layer of protection for those families.
As players, we go out there with pads on. We have helmets, shoulder pads, and you see all the stuff that players, well, do we expect to get hurt? No. Do we want to get hurt? No. But if we for some reason we happen to get hurt, it won't be as bad. It's the same thing with this kid. You don't want your kid, we don't want anyone to be abducted. We don't want anyone to be hurt. We don't want anyone to have to go through that. But for some reason, something bad happens, we have some padding.
Senator Marsha Blackburn also talked about a few pieces of legislation she's working on, including the Report Act. So this makes changes to the federal rules of reporting crimes that involve online sexual exploitation of children. This passed unanimously in the Senate, and she tells me that it will be heading to the president next week for signature.
The kit holds children's fingerprints and other identifying information to be given to law enforcement in case of an emergency. It's something Hubbard thinks is crucial to bring missing children home.
That's right. Now, 85,000 of these kits will be distributed to Tennessee families this fall. It's basically a prevention tool where you could that parent could collect your child's fingerprint as well as saliva in the event they ever go missing. That way you could take this kit, bring it to law enforcement, and speed up that investigation process. So let me show you how it works. You basically grab this activation solution, you open it up, you put your thumb right on the inkless solution. You then put your thumb, dab it right here. And then this part is where you're going to put your lips on it. And that way that will collect your saliva.
And that type of propaganda works. They used it with the school events. And then, of course, they use it to tell you that, well, your kid could get abducted, right? Well, the same people you're giving your DNA to are the ones who are doing the abducting, your government, right? I mean, come on, what do you think this is? You think it's a Colombian gang that's working the underground tunnels in America doing the trafficking? No, it's the Central Intelligence Agency. It's those three-letter agencies that you think are serving you. They're not serving you. They're spying on you. They're listening to you. And they're doing all of these horrific acts out in the open. And if that's not enough for you, you might remember this as well. Because we all know how this goes back to secret societies, right? It's funny when I talk about some of the things that, like, when I talk about the Satanic Temple, right? They have two things they care about: Planned Parenthood and going after people who are victims of satanic ritual abuse. That's it. Those are the two things they care about, right? Well, they tie into the core principles of Satanism. They try to make sure people think that anybody out there who's a victim of abuse and says it's satanic is making it up, so they go and they bully them. And then the other thing is they want those fetuses, right? Well, how about the Freemasons, right? What do? Well, the Freemasons are in your town. Nobody knows what they do. People think that they're just doing keg stands. But when they come out in the open, they want you to think that they're there because they care about your kids, right? Remember the Freemason child identification program where the Freemasons come out of the shadows to pretend like they care about your kid getting abducted, even though they're likely the ones who are behind it. And then they say, hey, we're going to get your kid's DNA and we're going to keep it. And that way, if something happens, your kid goes missing, we don't really know how to explain this to make it make sense, but thanks for your DNA.
My particular lodge got involved with the child ID program about 5 years ago. Before that, we were just a lodge that did ritual, and we wanted to get out into the community. And so a number of us contacted Grand Lodge, Chris Siebenmark, and we started out with a elementary school in the area, and it was sort of successful. But then after that, we started, brainstorming, and we got into, like today, we're doing an air show here. And at this particular air show, we've done up to 300 children in 2 days. We all wanted to be Masons, but we also wanted something more than just the Masonry. So we wanted to, again, get out into the community and try and help people out. And we've partnered with the Phoenix Lodge to get members from their lodge and our lodge together to help staff an event like this. So we've become very close with the Phoenix Lodge.
As being a Mason, I just came in and decided that I wanted to help do something. So we promoted the Child ID. It's a free program for children. We really enjoy our children and we want to keep them safe. I've been a Mason for 15 years. And I'm trying to give back to the community. We're just trying to do a good job and help save a child.
Now, on other occasions, we've needed additional help. Our members were not available, so we brought in the D-Malay and the Rainbow Girls as well to help us do these events. And it's a great partnership because for us, we can staff the event, and for the D-Malay and for the Rainbow Girls, it gives them some community service. So it's just been really, really awesome.
I'm a pediatric nurse, and to me it's very valuable to see that our children are protected. Tomorrow we'll have a whole group of the youth that will be here. Even though we're not from the Plymouth Rock Lodge, we're supporting them because they don't have a youth group of their own. So it's some role modeling of what the Masons do and role models for the kids about what they can do and how they can be involved in the community.
I didn't know this existed before coming to the program tonight. It just seemed like a good idea to have record of my kid and information on file somewhere so that way if anything ever happened to him or if anybody ever took him, then there'd be a better way of finding him.
The reason I'm interested in the Child ID program is because it just makes it easier just in case, say, you do turn around and all of a sudden your child runs off. We've all had it happen. And it just make it easier for you to find them without having so much stress and worry.
The information that the Masons get, I mean, it's just vital. It's great information. It's a lot of information. I mean, if you go on vacation and your child gets lost, you have that information with you. That's something you can give to the police. Somebody can be getting that information off of that CD about your child. You're looking for your child. Other police officers are looking for your child. More people who are out looking, the greater chance you have of finding, or a quicker chance of finding your child.
Tonight's What's Working. There is a program in place to create identification kits for children. These kits can be used by law enforcement if a child is reported missing. And the program is run all by volunteers. News 5's Devin Walsh caught up with them as they were working with children at a summer safety camp at Spring Hill College.
We're going to place it on here and you watch the screen and it's going to jump up there. See?
The Grand Lodge of Alabama's Child Identification Program is in full swing at this urban survival camp at Spring Hill College.
But we got your paperwork. How you doing today?
These volunteers are putting together an identification pack for each child.
Look at this as an insurance policy, and we hope that they never get used. But in the event that your child ever does go missing, we think you'd be very glad that you have this information available.
Mike Griffon runs the program in Lower Alabama. He says technology changes mean fingerprinting is done digitally instead of using ink.
Now we're going to get a picture of you.
They also take pictures of each child and record a video.
We print out a form like this, which has the fingerprints and photographs and a couple of ID cards on the bottom of it. It all also goes on here, along with the video and the voice recording.
Volunteers say this puts vital information all in one place for parents if a child ever goes missing.
When you get upset when your child is missing, you can't always remember everything. So they can go somewhere and pull all of this information out and give it to the authorities, and they have that information just like that.
Having it is a consolation for the parent, and it's reassurance that if something happens, that they can help and not just have to worry.
What's so beneficial about this information is that once you hand it over to law enforcement, if your child is missing, they can enter it into the Amber Alert system immediately because it has all the characteristics about your child in one place.
But if they go to their sock drawer and sweep their hand through the sock drawer, they're going to find that envelope, and they can just hand that envelope to law enforcement and say, here, it's all in here. Fingerprints, photos, voice prints, the works, it's all in there.
It takes dedicated volunteers to run the program, but they say if it helps just one family, their efforts are worth it. For What's Working, I'm Devin Walsh.
All right, so parents here in Connecticut are now able to track their children with this new CT chip, it's called.
Yeah, the Connecticut Freemasons are bringing this program to communities around the state, also to Barbarino Nissan. It's happening on Saturday. And joining us today from Barbarino Nissan is the executive manager, Brittany Barbarino, with CT Chip volunteer, April Mercure, and Frank Mangero. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Brittany, let's start with you. Why did you guys decide to have an event like this?
It's a great event. It's free for parents, and it gives you a kit where it lets you identify your child if something were to happen to them, and it saves hours for police work, and it's really, really important.
And how did the Freemasons become involved in this and sort of...
Well, actually, the Massachusetts Freemasons were doing this, and in 2003 we brought it to the state of Connecticut. And it was a very archaic system then, recording on VHS tapes, and it's evolved to be on DVDs, and now it's on a flash drive. And we have this little flash drive that has the information, height, weight, hair color, eye color, and then we also do dental imprints, DNA swab, and which is also a scent sample, pictures, and a video of the child. So if your child becomes missing, you can give this pack to the police, and within an hour or so they could have an Amber Alert out there with all the pertinent identifying information.
Wow, this is crucial. I mean, why wouldn't parents everywhere do this? It's so important to have on hand.
It's a really good program.
You would be amazed how many parents are apprehensive, and it's like, what do you have to lose?
Right.
You have everything to gain, nothing to lose. It's very remarkable.
And what's been your experience with the program, April? What have you seen from it?
I've been thrown into doing most of the dental, so I'm sticking my fingers in their mouths.
Yeah, You're like, I'm glad I got tasked with that one.
Yeah, but I'm sure parents are so happy once they go through this and to have this handy.
Absolutely. And the kids are apprehensive too, but then once they do it, they're like, can I do it again? Can I get the thumbprints done again? I'm like...
Yeah, it's a free program. It's free for the parents. You know, we volunteer our time, the Freemasons in Connecticut. There are 9 districts. We have 9 different setups in Connecticut. And so at any given time on any weekend, there could be a number of CHIP events going on throughout the state.
Well, it's great that you've been able to partner up with Barbarino Nissan, and it's great that you're able to serve the community in this way. And we have all the information right here, all the details, so please go to that event, support them. It's all going down this Saturday, April 13th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we want to thank...
And maybe get a car while you're there.
Absolutely.
Right?
Why not?
The new Nissans are beautiful.
Well, there you go. It's a win-win for everyone. Thank you all for being here and for what you do.
Thank you.
Right? So this has been nothing more than a massive psyop over the years, getting people to give their DNA to the government one way or the other, whether it's TV shows that are talking about, I mean, it's laughable, really, that you see these celebrities and they pretend like they don't know who they're related to when they all know they're related to one another. And they come out there and they cry and they go, I can't believe my, My great grandfather persecuted witches. Oh my goodness. I mean, those were literally some of the episodes from Finding Your Roots. They were talking about and victimizing witches, right? Or talking about how their great uncle or cousin was a slave owner, right? And everybody out there was like, wow, I wonder who I'm related to. Could I be related to Beelzebub? Huh? I'm going to send in my DNA. Maybe I'm related to Burt Reynolds, right? And they just willfully sent their DNA in, blindfully, I should say, and willfully, right? Just like people willfully went on and were on board with that science experiment that occurred a couple years ago, that they got shot into their bodies. People just blindfully do these things. And then they say people like me, oh, you're paranoid. You're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, man, you're over the top. That's too much. Oh, yeah? Why? Because you're a giant child who wants to send in their DNA to the government, and people like me are trying to warn you of why they want your DNA with this technology that they have that you can't even comprehend, where they're building out digital twins of you, clones of you potentially in the future. You go, oh, I don't care. They can make a clone of me, huh? That's what some of these sheep will say. Oh, let them make a clone of me. It's no big deal. Let them make a digital twin of me that could potentially control my mind. I don't care. You're out of control. You're crazy to think all this stuff. All 23andMe was trying to do was trying to tell me if my 3rd, 4th, and 17th cousin was related to Prince Henry X. Huh? Right. And that's how we get to where we are in the world. People are willingly falling into these psychological operations. And now when 23andMe comes out, it tells you that they're bankrupt. What do the sheeple do? They go, oh my gosh, what about my DNA? As if, what do you think? It was stored in the 23andMe building in San Francisco or wherever they were packing the fudge for the 23andMe. What do you think? They just store it in a warehouse there? The government has your DNA. It's a front. And they go, no, that's not true. I can just go online and press the delete button, and then somebody there is going to go and find my DNA in a tube, and they're going to put it in a garbage can for me because they have to legally, right? Give me an utter break. Whether it's roots, finding your roots, whether it's an event at a school or a child abduction, these people are using every means they have to psychologically trick you into giving them the one thing that you have that they shouldn't be able to access, and that's your DNA. And now they've got a lot of people's DNA. So 23andMe folds like a cardboard box. Of course, still the people out there are like, well, there's always Ancestry.com, right? Well, exactly. The government will always keep one of their fronts open for you so that you could willingly send them your DNA. And I'm sure there'll be other psychological operations that they create as well over the next couple of years that get people to willingly submit it. And then eventually, of course, we'll see what we see in a lot of different countries now, where the government says everybody has to submit their DNA. Why? Well, because we have to solve true crimes. Duh. There's countries that literally are forcing their civilians into giving their DNA. And it's the same thing that we saw with the outbreak a few years ago. There's people who are so on board with it that they'll bully you into doing it because you need to do your part in case, you commit a crime, then they have your DNA on file and we could arrest you immediately so we could watch a true crime episode about you and then all cheer and celebrate how the CCTV cameras and DNA caught you, right? An absolute nightmare society where these people continue to use psychological operations to manipulate people into doing what they want. And people are falling for it hook, line, and sinker. So 23andMe folds, Amwajicki steps down. Of course, it's too soon to crack any jokes about Susan, but well, I guess I did that already. R.I.P. Susan and R.I.P. 23andMe. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.